So a couple days ago, I saw an Instagram story by Grady Smith about turning Avril Lavigne's Skater Boy country, and that's what I do. So y'all tag him. Here we go. He was a boy, she was a girl. Can I make it any more obvious?
You ever hear a song that's not a country song, but the moment that you hear it, you know it would sound so good as a country remix? Because that happens to me like all the time. And so I just wanted to do a random little video of pop songs that I think would be really good country songs. What's up, y'all? I'm here in a new location. You know, normally I sit there and film, but I was editing over at this other table in my apartment, sitting by my painting. There's my painting, by the way. It's coming along quite well, if I do say so myself. The storyline of it has evolved into my imaginary bar, the Big Thicket Honky Tonk, which is in Texas, and there was a busload of Nashville stars traveling to the ACM Awards in Vegas, but they broke down outside this little Texas bar, and now we got people like Carrie Underwood and Luke Bryan and Luke Combs and Morgan Wallen and Darius Rucker and a bunch of others still to come that are hanging out in this bar. Today I was randomly thinking about my old podcast that I had for about 3 months in 2019. Yes, I was one of those people that was like, I could have a podcast, and one of my favorite things that came out of it was me just kind of rambling one day about how I loved the song Skater Boy by Avril Lavigne, and I thought it would make a great country song.
He was a skater boy, she said, see you later, boy. He wasn't good enough.
I mean, it's got this class angst of this girl that thinks she's better than this guy. It's got this kind of omniscient, wizened narrator, and it tells a full story. And I could imagine someone like a Reba or a Joe Messina putting like a super 90s country spin on it. I could have seen it being like a Trisha Yearwood hit back in the day.
Her daddy says he ain't worth a lick.
And a bunch of people actually responded back in the day and posted their own country versions of Skater Boy, and I found those on my computer, and it brought me so much joy.
He wanted her, but she'd never tell. But secretly she wanted him as well.
But anyway, I wanted to think of a few other pop songs that I think would make especially good country songs, so I made a little list of my own, and I asked on Instagram for your recommendations of songs you think would be good and which country star should cover them. So we'll just kind of alternate, one of mine, one of y'all's. First for me is I Took a Pill in Ibiza by Mike Posner.
You don't wanna be high like me, never really knowing why like me. You don't
This is one of my favorite songs in the past decade. It is so freaking dark, especially for a big, dancey pop hit, and that's what makes it interesting. It's a song that makes you want to party, and yet it's also about the cost of partying, about doing drugs with Avicii to look cool, but how he's so sad and anxious and riding on the bus alone and how you don't want to be like him. I know Eric Paslay actually included a cover of this on his recent album.
I cut 'em all loose and work's my excuse, but the truth is I can't open up.
But my original thought was that I would love to hear a cover of this by Cody Jinks. This is already a theme he loves to sing about, like which side of himself does he feed? And he has that other song called Never Alone, Always Lonely that's in similar territory. And maybe he could choose some like city in Oklahoma, like Chakotah, instead of Ibiza. Like I took a pill in Chakotah, or he's in Texas, I took a pill in Laredo to show Josh Abbott I was cool or something. Well, I don't want to imply that Josh Abbott does drugs. You know what I mean? He could bring in some of that old metal influence with his country sound. It would be primo. Okay, now let's do one of y'all's, and I would say the two most common responses I got just scrolling through Instagram are either that song Driver's License by that girl Olivia Rodrigo.
red lights, stop signs.
I'm not up to speed on all of the teen drama. I know she was in High School Musical, the series, and I think dated her co-star, and now this is her breakup song with him, and it's breaking all kinds of Spotify records. And people mentioned everyone from Maddie and Tay to Ingrid Andress as people that could cover it. But the artist that was in here the most as a recommendation was people wanted Chris Stapleton to cover stuff. It's just like insert any song, someone wants Chris Stapleton to cover it. But out of all of those, I think the response that probably makes the most sense to me is Chris Stapleton covering Bruno Mars's When I Was Your Man.
I should have bought you flowers.
Chris Stapleton has sung with Bruno Mars before on that Ed Sheeran collaboration Blow. They both have firepower and kind of a soulful angst in the way that they sing these heartbroken, angry anthems. And you put a little bit of steel behind the balladry of When I Was Your Man, it would just be incredible. And while we're at it, let's give Stapleton like a little pompadour and some sequined jacket and teach him some of the dance moves of Bruno Mars. Next up for me is the song Rude by Magic.
Can I have your daughter for the rest of my life? Say yes, say yes.
I think Rude would make a great country song because, again, it is telling this linear story. This guy wants this girl, he's appealing to the father, so you got some of those southern values in it, but then there's also a little bit of rebellion because he's saying, you can't have my daughter, and he's like, well, I'm gonna marry her anyway. But I think I would give it to Brad Paisley because I think he's the master of humorous country songs. Plus, he'd add in some like electric guitar noodling and just make the whole thing go down easy. Or I would give it to Rodney Atkins, and it could be kind of like the reverse perspective of Cleaning This Gun. It could be like a sequel to that song.
Come on in, boy, sit on down and tell me about your...
One of these responses says Love Yourself by Justin Bieber to be covered by Chris Young. And what's funny is way back in the archives of this channel, I've actually made that comparison before. Gives me Love Yourself vibes already, or like Ed Sheeran. Sounds a lot like Love Yourself. Okay, the next one from you guys is Lord's Royals.
And we'll never be royals.
I think this is a really good idea because, again, as I talked about class angst on Skater Boy, that's totally there in Royals. It's kind of turning up its nose at the people that turn their nose up at them. Basically saying you can keep your Cristal and your Maybachs and your diamonds, we're never gonna be Royals. And if that wouldn't translate to a kind of homely country sound, I don't know what would. B Hertz 1613 said that she thinks Casey Musgraves should cover this song, and I think she'd do an awesome job with that. I would want to hear it in like the pageant material era. There's also a lot of people that mentioned Liability by Lorde, and I totally agree with that. That song's so good, so anxious, and so real.
I am a toy that people enjoy till all of the tricks don't work anymore.
Next one for me is Mr. Brightside by The Killers. Allow me to be a millennial for a moment. This is one of the best party jams of all time. And it's kind of a synth pop song where this guy is worried about what his girl is doing behind his back. Surely she's cheating on him, and he's kind of envisioning it in his mind. I think I'd either want to hear this go fully bluegrass with like fiddle and harmonica, almost like a little bit of a jig. And I know Boy Named Banjo at one point did cover this song. Or I'd want to hear it go super sparse, dark, emphasize the poetry of these lyrics and really feel like you are investigating the sick lullabies of this, and maybe have Zach Bryan sing it outside and be all cold. I think that could be a good vibe too. Would be a good companion to Crooked Teeth. There's some shady ones in here. Someone said the pop song they would want to hear is Anything by Morgan Wallen covered by Morgan Wallen. Someone says Style by Taylor Swift, sung by Maren Morris, but I do not think she would really countrify it. Someone wants Miley Cyrus's 7 Things covered by The Wilder Blue. And what's weird is I feel like that would actually work. And speaking of Miley Cyrus, I actually had on my list that I would love to hear maybe a Miley and Tyler Childers collaboration one day. I'm still waiting for Miley Cyrus to make a legit country record, not people all saying, but Younger Now has country themes. No, it doesn't. I want her to make a country album. Okay, here's a great idea from Jax B. Gates. California Girls by Katy Perry. We've all heard this song. It's about the undeniable fun, swagger, beauty of the girls out in California, bronzing underneath the palm trees, and he says he thinks John Party should cover this. Hell yes, I can imagine that, kind of putting a Bakersfield twist on California Girls. It might seem a touch trashy for a guy to be singing about how he's liking them in their stilettos on the beach, but I could see this being a rollicking good time. I think that's a good freaking idea. Until then though, we do have Tequila Little Time as his next single. Our prayers have been answered.
I want tequila little time with you.
Okay, the rest of mine that I had on my list, because this is taking too long and I gotta go, were Better Now by Post Malone. That's such a bitter breakup song, and I think I would leave it just as it is with the Caleb Lee Hutchison cover.
You probably think that you are better now, better now.
And then I also had Cheap Thrills by Sia. I think that could be turned into a barn stomper party of a song, and maybe someone like Justin Moore or Sonny Sweeney could really bring out the country elements of it and kind of the rejection of high society. And then the last one I had was just that sea shanty song that everyone is playing on every corner of the internet right now.
Soon may the wellerman come to bring us sugar and tea and rum.
I was trying to think of what would capture that nautical / gothic sound, and I landed on this band, The Dead South.
My life's a bit more colder. Down to life is what I told.
Oh, Bennett once, When You Look Me in the Eyes by the Jonas Brothers, covered by Florida Georgia Line. I don't know. There's also Hanging by a Moment by Lifehouse for Florida Georgia Line. That kind of makes more sense to me. Oh, but here's a really good one. I'm gonna end with this. Sorry by Justin Bieber.
Is it too late now to say sorry?
According to Zach Santos, that should be covered by Midland, and I gotta say, I agree. I can imagine them doing the harmonies on the chorus. Is it too late now to say sorry? They kind of do that heartbroken thing so well. And honestly, I could hear the verses being like a little more rockabilly, like bum ba dum ba dum ba dum ba dum. You gotta go and get angry at all of my honesty. Is that how it would go? Guys, while I'm sitting here filming, another Justin Bieber recommendation just came in. They said Yummy by Justin Bieber as covered by Johnny Cash. And all I'm imagining is him turning it into this sinister thing of that yummy. I can't do a Johnny Cash voice. I don't go that low. You know, I was hoping to get that low in puberty and it wasn't meant to be. I had a lot of fun with this video. It's kind of stupid, but it's fun to imagine. So stay tuned for more kind of probably focused content than this is. I promise if it's your first time on the channel, usually like I know a little bit of what I'm talking about. Today was more freewheeling and it was fun. So I'm gonna get back to editing and then painting and then I don't know when I'll post this, but I will see you guys soon. Bye, love y'all.